Mr Speaker, the Labor Party actually support this bill, and I've got to say I want to actually thank the Minister for bringing it into the House. I just waited for a second because I thought a bolt of lightning would hit me for saying that, but nevertheless it hasn't. And I think this sort of legislation is very important because it will clear up many uncertainties. With the Auckland legislation that's gone through the House, there has been people wondering whether they can stand because they are a police officer and wondering whether the grandfathering rights they've had would still prevail. And I've had talked to people around the House about this, and I must say I am pleased that it's happened. We have people in Manukau who serve the council and they serve the community as police officers. Now, Councillor Al Filipana is a councillor for Manukau in the Mangere ward, and he does great work with young people especially. And being a police officer doesn't restrict him in his council work. He has the ability to be able to not involve himself in voting on bylaws and things like that very sensibly. But he's a person who gets around crime prevention work, very important, and the county's Manukau policing area isn't the easiest area to police and needs people who know their community, and Al Filipana, I think, does. And it may sound a wee bit like a party political speech singing his praises, but really he is a person who I think the whole of Mangere is proud of. And I imagine when the Super Council is elected, he'll be one of the members. And I think that's very important. Now, he gets out in his community, as I said, but sometimes he goes across the border. He goes away from Mangere ward out to Manurewa or Papatau or Otara, Pakuranga, and he joins in things with a spirit that I think should be duplicated by many others. He's the sort of person you'd call a decent bloke, and I think it's very important that we allow people like that to be elected. We have people on the Manurewa Community Board. The chairman is a guy, Mike Bailey, who works for the police officer. Not only is he chair of the community board, he marries people and he dispatches people. So he's another person who's totally involved in his community. We have people like Angela Cunningham Marino, who is a person on the community board, but also a police officer, who works to help people in the community in many ways. And it's these community-spirited people working to help people who are suffering from breast cancer, helping people who need guidance, help and strength. And having police officers like that on community boards, on councils, is very important. Now, Labor, as I said, will support this bill. I would have liked it to go to a select committee. I know time's short, but I thought one day wouldn't be bad. We could have the Police Association along and the Police Officers Guild if we'd gone and had this bill before a select committee for a day. But that's not to be. And I'm sure, in fact I'm positive, it won't stop the Police Association from having their say one way or the other. They'll do it very publicly. Greg O'Connor is not slow in saying what he thinks on issues that affect his officers. And it is interesting that when you have a look at people who really want to serve their community in a way that encourages the community rather than discouraging people. Now, in the county's Manukau area, we have many, many young people who have lost their way. And it is the police that we look to help those people. Yes, we know SIPs do a good job in many cases. We know there are other agencies. But to have people who work for the New Zealand Police, who in their own time get out and support those young people, is truly important. They're the heroes of the local community, and whenever I see Alf, there is a guy with a big smiley face, a warm handshake, and always greets everyone in the same way. Well, no, he doesn't sound like the member for Tauranga who used to try and get people put in jail all the time. But in the end, I think probably people got off because of his skills. But nevertheless, when you have people like Alf doing the sort of work he does, it's good. And we shouldn't be putting obstacles in the way for these people to stand for council. And if you put those sort of obstacles in the way, then of course you lose a lot of talent, a lot of ability. Now, when this bill came before, a similar bill that led to this came before the House before, it was because Ron Mark, the New Zealand First party member, New Zealand First, you'll probably remember Winston Peters and one or two others. I know some people can't remember Winston Peters. Well, I think he's busy working away, but anyway, when you have people like Ron Mark, who for ages and ages wanted no place to be on council. Even when I was minister, he was trying to make sure that police officers couldn't work as councillors in their community. Now, of course, when you have... there's the member from the North Shore somewhere, Cam Corder, I think it is, who's actually woken up and I see the ornament of the National Party in the back row smiling as well. However, in the end, you should have people who can be a bit bigger-minded than perhaps Ron Mark was. I think Ron Mark took a very narrow view. And one of the problems you have when you have coalitions, sometimes deals are done. I mean, it looked as though a deal was done on the Tūhoe people, and then all of a sudden it was pulled away. Well, that's the nature of coalition governments. And when you have coalition governments, they make deals, they break deals, and of course, well, you know, people get promised there won't be any increase in GST, and then there is. But I'm not blaming the Maori Party for that or ACT for that. They're all guilty, the whole lot. But Ron Mark, I think, went too far. He went to the stage where he personally disliked a police officer and then came up with this legislation beforehand that put restrictions on. I'm pleased the Minister has got this in the House today. The Labour Party will support it, and not only support it, I hope lots of people vote for Alf and his team who stand at the council elections this year.